welcome to the first edition of OSW Playlist. It's your boy, Jay Hunter. How's it going, lads? I wanted to do a monthly check-in telling you what I've been watching and playing. This is going to be a looser stream of consciousness, recording things that we won't cover on OSW, so there'll be no wrestling, as I want it to be a separate, different thing. I just thought it'd be a nice little addition, something that add more value for you as part of NuggerU, and to help me be a better host and presenter. I want to aim to go about between 10 and 15 minutes for each one, and to proviso being that it won't interfere with OSW as a whole. So the whole thing start to finish has to be done in a day, you know? Alright, so let's do it to it! Stories Untold, or Untold Stories in non-Yoda speak. Tabled, this motion is. Or is it? Alright, this is an indie game from No Code, released on PC and Mac February 2017. It's like a text adventure game from the 80s. There's 4 stories that you should play in order, because they builds off the last. The first one, The House Abandoned, is set at this desk of this abandoned house, and you plonk in the actions on your keyboard and read what happens on the computer on the screen. This Futuro 128K plus 2 80s computer. Awesome. I actually remember these from back in the day, just barely, where the computer has severe comprehension impairments. It's like, you know, you type in step in. What? Go inside. I don't follow. Move your goddamn feet forward. Yeah, what are you saying? Like, if anyone, you played back in the 80s, Red Hawk, it's, you know, the same thing. He's just unable to do anything, so you eventually get pissed off and just write, go fuck yourself, and then Red Hawk would say, Red Hawk does not know how to fuck himself. So, like, you know, the right answer would be open glove box, get out of car, go to garden, look around, that kind of thing. So you just have to dumb it down and repeat specific phrases back into the interface, you know, and just throw out synonyms. Oh man, it's just like Pass Irish in school. I do appreciate there's some audio and jump scares, visual changes and that kind of thing, but with such a small game, like you're just typing in, it's kind of toothless attack, you know. Chapter 2, the lab conduct, you get 2 screens. So you're in a lab working a drill, laser and a camera, inputting simple commands until the computer understands. I don't know when I was playing this, because it wasn't that much fun. I was like, you should be paying me for this. Ended up having to look up a walkthrough, and when you get stuck, it's like, and the answer is greet. Since when is greet a command? Anyway, to cut down on frustration, I wish it was like the LucasArts Scum engine, where there's a limited number of actions and you can kind of see the pool, you know. We do get a bit more plot with an alien invasion, and it's actually more fun than the first, but sometimes it's like the computer's like a 5-year-old girl saying, guess what number I'm thinking of? 7. No. 317. No. You know, it's like that. Story 3 is the station process. It's set in a snowbound bunker. You're inputting transmission passcodes and also looking at charts. Actually pretty cool. And you get to move around like a late 90s 3D game. Weirdly, halfway through it, they just start using your name or whatever you've inputted into the game. It says, oh, hello, James, and James, switch the toggle. It's very odd. Cool, unsettling. So kind of each successive chapter on the game improves, which is very cool. Also like the Star Wars prequels. I love Revenge of the Sith, I just have to say that's my favourite of the 8. Or is it 9 now? Yeah. Episode 4 is the last session. That's a bit of a roundup of the last 3 gameplay-wise, but it's actually a big Russo swerve context. There's a great build, eerie feeling walking around an empty hospital, where you know there's absolutely something that's gonna get you, you know. There's another text adventure, and I loved when the penny dropped but the moral of the tale is kind of belabored and actually kind of gets a bit preachy, but it's a good message. I'm wondering, yeah, I won't. I would like you to actually play the game, so I won't spoil it for you. And so, unless I'm going to go into depth about a spoiler, I won't mention it as much as possible. There is a cool plot device where they ask you to make a choice, but it won't continue unless you make the wrong, horrible choice, which is really awesome. Overall, like each time I played a chapter, my opinion of the game went up. So it went from banging my head to saying, well, that was actually kind of cool. So not a bad couple of hours at all, maybe 4 hours in total. Despite its flaws leaning too closely to an old school text adventure, being pissed off playing that, it's a very different gaming experience in 2018, so I enjoyed playing it. Stories Untold is available now on Mac and PC for around a tenner. It's about 4 hours long, as I said, depending on how quickly you refer to a walkthrough, and if that isn't enough good deal for money, you can put it on your waitlist on isthereanydeal.com. It's really cool. It aggregates a load of sites and see what game, how cheap it is, that kind of thing.
Jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. So say all of us.
God bless you, Captain. God bless you.
Alright, Braca Mirror, the main event! Charlie Brooker's anthology series returns for a 4th season. If you haven't heard or seen it, it's this high quality, almost movie-like one-off, self-contained stories, like a modern day Twilight Zone. Like Black Mirror, very much a PSA for the inherent dangers of not that far away technology, mostly. Cautionary tale of the slippery slope. I've actually written up reviews for series 1 to 3 on the website, so I'll link that below, but definitely just start watching it if you haven't, you know? Alright, USS Callister. Oh, this is amazing. This one's about a chief programmer from a famous online game, kind of like Back to Reality in Red Dwarf. People put on this neural button on their temple and they go play a TIV, a total immersion video game. They play as a captain of a 60s Star Trek type game. We find out that the programmer has his own offline version where sentient, conscious digital versions of his workmates are trapped in the game and are terrorized into obeying him. So this concept of if a sentient, self-aware digital version of you should have free will and feeling empathy for them, it's like the Christmas episode, White Christmas, with the Smart House cookie, if you remember that one. Nanette even looks like the actress Greta from that episode. This is tied for my favourite episode of the season. I just want to also mention it's kind of like the Twilight Zone's It's a Good Life. That's where they're in an isolated farm and they're being held hostage by this little shit called Anthony, and he's a kid with mental powers. I love how they portrayed the captain. That's Robert Daly, aka Jesse Plemons from Todd from Breaking Bad. He was a downtrodden but invaluable talent. Even the intern there treats him like shit, who must be prompted to get him, to ask him to make coffee. He even takes a jab at Daly's weight. The other employees make fun of him, he projects himself as a massive, helpless mess of insecurity, and there's some quiet resignation in there. So, although I thought people were wrong to insult and take advantage of him like that, obviously, like the black girl, Shania, she goes so far as to forget that he's half owner of the company. I wonder how much of that is people responding to him, treating himself like shit. Of course, that's not an excuse. You should absolutely not do that. You should treat people kindly all the time. I also think it's a crock to have the receptionist, who's the first person you'd see when you go into a building, be actively bored, like on her phone, doing nails and stuff like that, and generally being disinterested at the desk. Like, you're just coming into work and you're saying, oh, I don't care. How do you have a job? You know? Anyway, I loved how they poked fun at, but they're clearly reverential to the old Star Trek series, striking poses as they beam down to a planet, it's cheesy dialogue and that kind of thing. Jimmy Simpson, Liam McPoyle from Always Sunny, you will call her. He's awesome in the Bones role, being outwardly sarcastic but playing along with this world he's forced to endure. There's a bit where he's just, they're going for he's a jolly good fella, and he goes, "Oh my fuck," and it made me laugh out loud. This kayfabe shoot kind of thing within the world, being forced to act out the captain's game, hits the right amount of levity. Oh man, I really enjoyed it. It was 1 hour 16, feature length, and it's cool to see the SFX that Netflix put in. If you notice about Netflix, like they bought it in season 3, they bought it for season 3 and now 4, and you can see the injection of cash as well as the more light-hearted storylines creeping in from the Netflix era, season 3 onwards. One kayfabe problem, they explain how someone could get today's version of you from just DNA, as Robert just said, he has a gizmo, which is ridiculous. But I'd offer that these people play the game every day, so maybe they upload a brain scan or some consciousness into the game. That's all I got. Anyway, it gets a little hokey bringing in someone's young son into the mix, and although it's a parody, there's a bit of satire, it conforms to the predictable Star Trek Mad Dash finish and a relatively happy, kind of justified macabre ending. Oh man, there's an awesome fun cameo from another Breaking Bad cast member at the end. The director actually mentioned turning it into a TV series, which is a bit fuck off, because you've already told the story, and that's the whole thing about Breaking Bad. Anyway, overall, wonderful, very strong start to the season, and tied for my favourite. So awesome, yeah, definitely watch it.
Good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. So say, oh my fuck.
Archangel. All right, so we'll probably get a bit faster with these for the rest of the season. Archangel, directed by Jodie Foster, very much an indie film with the technology pushed back. It's just as a means for the storyline rather than the main event. However, it's very odd as the thrust of the episode is the mom and daughter relationship, who barely spend any time talking to each other, so it's a bit of a mess. Anyway, the gimmick is that a helicopter mom gets a chip implanted into her daughter, and with a tablet can see and hear everything her daughter does. It's creepy as fuck. Even worse, she has parental controls, so she can block out things in real time, like in White Christmas. As well as rewind and review her daughter's life, which is a privacy-violating version of the grain from the brilliant The Entire History of You. The mom initially puts up some resistance, but she comes round to it. We see the innocent uses, like enjoying both sides of a hide-and-seek game. The beneficial uses, which is like the father has a health scare, like he has a heart attack, and the mom is alerted. Although the daughter, she probably would have done something, but you can't actually see it because this distressing thing has been blocked out. And obviously enough, we see the negative uses, which is like curbing her daughter's growth as a person by blocking out anything remotely objectionable, like even a drawing of blood. Thankfully, it's made clear that she and others know she is bugged, as a schoolboy calls her Chiphead. Muscles, Choppy! Even though the whole project is scrapped, the mother is told there's no lasting effects, just throw away the tablet. That's the end of that. Of course, Cunty Face not only keeps the tablet, but when her daughter Sarah becomes a teenager, roots it back out and eventually just keeps it in her purse, switched on. Just some little notes about it. Like, I love the disparity of actors and their characters' age. Like, the daughter is supposed to be 15. She looks 30, mate. But the actress is 21. The whole sheltering you for your own benefit leads to the daughter binging on porn and death videos and ended up doing coke and banging a guy at 15. So the mother with this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Although the dude she's with looks a bit like Kylo Ren. Definitely Halloween costume there. So, every cloud. They don't even bother to kind of shades of grey it. It's just the single mom is a massive heel. Yeah, spoilers. She aborts her daughter's child without her knowing she was even pregnant. Holy shit, you deserve to get battered. They don't do any kind of decent job making her sympathetic or a huge cunt. She's just an awful helicopter parent. In the end, it's a fine watch, but does nothing other Black Mirror episodes haven't done better. The entire History of You and White Christmas are both fantastic, devastating watches. Recommend.
You still got that system?
Yes, I have it. So whatever she sees, I see, and I am watching you. Okay. So you stay away. Okay, if she calls you, you hang up. If she comes to see you, you tell her to get away. You just stay away from her, okay? Away. You stay the fuck away.
Crocodile. Andrea Riseborough as Mia. She's an architect that's moved on after being involved in a car accident, murder and cover-up. It's set in Iceland and some of it is filmed in the Harpa Concert Hall. Oh my god, it's breathtaking, as well as isolating, just an incredible backdrop that you don't really see. She's cut her hair, she looks completely different, become tremendously successful, so she's moved on. But shit goes tits up when her mate, who hasn't changed a bit in the last 15 years, wants to confess. She says she has none of it. She murders him and disposes of the body without incident. So, going quite well. 24 minutes in, Black Mirror arrives with the piece of tech called the Corroborator. It's a device that sits on your temple and transmits the image sounds of your memories to an old-timey portable monitor for recording. It's not used by the police this time, but by a very nice insurance lady who's just trying to sort out a claim for an unrelated mild pizza truck accident that she happened to witness during her murder. Again, it's very similar to the entire History of You, but instead of you being in control, you're legally compelled to show it if you're asked, and you're trying to cover up your own thoughts. I love how it was just a very trivial incident that actually set it off. Mia just keeps digging, and we get the quintessential Black Mirror moment of choice at the end. Great stuff. It made me think of, Saw films. I'm always thinking of how to get out of these traps. And with scenarios like this, when she takes the insurance woman hostage, of how you could bargain out of it. It would only work if the insurance lady also did something criminal, like cheated on her husband or, or also murdered someone or, that kind of thing. And so you'd both have the power to destroy each other's lives. So, overall, it was relentlessly bleak and the tech was very similar to previous episodes, even this season. So not much to chew on, but I really love this one. I just have to say, the setting, holy God, it's so gorgeous. Hang the DJ, a very cool name, nothing to do with the episode. It's the chorus of the Smiths song Panic, which is about criticising the state of pop music in 1986. Maybe it's a turn of phrase as well, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, it's a very easygoing love story episode with Frank and Amy set in an enclosed world where you're paired up with a date for a to-be-determined amount of time, which gives the app info to aggregate and ultimately set you up with your one true mate. The idea in itself is a bit bollocks, considering arranged marriage is a thing with a higher rate of success of non-divorce. I liked how there was varying degrees of sexiness in the sex. Also, it kept to the emotional aspect, as it was the girl having lots of partners. Because if it was just the guy having lots of partners, it would be a bit of Frank's mismatch, Greta, and her instant joyless unlikableness, amazing. It's like he sits down with her and it's like, we're together for 9 months and she's already frustrated and irritable within seconds. That's like a instant death sentence.
Look on the bright side. Chicken tikka masala.
What?
Chicken tikka masala. It's a joke.
Right. So you're the sort of person that makes jokes?
It's quite schmaltzy, but I thought it was really lovely when, what's her name? Amy was allowed a quick date before her marriage and she immediately chose Frank. There is, as with, Black Mirror episodes, there's a swerve revelation at the end, but it doesn't really recontextualize anything, so it's a bit of a wet fart. The episode and the feeling of it's kind of lacking the bite you come to expect and fear with Black Mirror. You expect to be emotionally battered with Black Mirror. Imagine if Dark Souls 4 could be beaten with only dying a couple of times. You'd be pissed. And this is more like Nosedive, a dip a toe, kind of Americanized Black Mirror, easygoing episode. Like, I was saying that Netflix bought in season 3 and kind of 3 and 4, you can kind of tell which ones are more American-centric. They're kind of big budget, less depressing, and of course American actors and stuff like that. And then you can tell the kind of English ones, which are shut up and dance, basically. Still really well written and acted, as all these episodes are, and absolutely worth watching once. Metalhead. There's a random woman, Bella, being pursued by a relentless killer robot dog. And that's it. Terminator in the post-apocalypse. Or whatever. The Walking Dog. That's what I got. Very much like if you ever saw the Boston Dynamics robot dog spot, and some asshole kicks it, and it kind of keeps balance. And oh my god. It's kind of like a robot uprising of that. Quite straightforward, tense cat and mouse thriller where the dog just relentlessly pursues Bella throughout kind of different areas. Nice black and white aesthetic, gives it a unique look in Black Mirror. Definitely helped it look more desolate, but I'm suspicious it wasn't. It was just to make the dodgy CGI more believable in black and white, and as in the mechanical dogs. Obviously the gore as well, The official line from director Slade is that it's supposed to look oppressive and metallic like the dog. And it does, yeah, your one's even wearing a metallic coat, so, Previous episodes make it a point to explain how the tech works and flesh out the world, but this is the opposite. You're given a premise and thrown into it. There's no attempt to explain these dogs or the world. There's minimum talking and a relatively short runtime of 41 minutes. There's no cautionary tale or something to be learned. Unless it's like Doc when you see one of these dogs before it explodes. At the start, they were talking about pigs being wiped out and not wanting to be a pig, and a closing shot of what they were trying to get. I'm unsure what they were going for. Maybe the human spirit. Don't be subservient like the mindless dogs, or risk your life for something trivial for love. I enjoyed all of Bella's tactics to evade the dog, including hiding up a tree, but was annoyed that she seemed to be still bleeding and leaving easy tracks. It's like, There was an alternate idea where it was a radio-controlled dog, and the guy stops chasing her to go bathe his child. I thought that was a way better idea. Also, I just have to mention, it's hilarious when the dog goes into the house and grabs a knife. What the fuck? Give it a watch. Let me know what you think. I'm a big horror guy, so I was on board immediately. So I enjoyed it, but I imagine if you weren't, it's probably the low light of the season.
So what is all this stuff?
Authentic criminological artifacts. If it did something bad, chances are it's in here. Take a look around, take your time, see what pops out at you. Anything piques your interest, I can tell you all about it. There's a sad, sick story behind most everything here.
It's time for your main event. Black Museum. They saved the most fun episode for last. We get an anthology within an anthology episode with 3 stories. A woman visits a museum of tech curios and oddities and gets a personal tour as she's the only guest. The tone of this is darkly comical, like it's a blowout for the season, having fun with the mystique that Black Mirror has built up. So when we're taken around the museum, we see a bounty of Easter eggs. Not a bounty Easter egg, that would be horrible. Like, there's references to previous episodes, stuff like the mask from White Bear, or the bee drone from Hated in the Nation, or even the child's lollipop and DNA scanner from the season 4 Star Trek opener. There's also a slight reference, it said "thank you kindly" from Playtest, that's the Resident Evil episode, and that's obviously a Bioshock reference too. So anyway, the curator, Rolo, regales her with 3 fun tales of tech gone wrong. So I'll just go through them real quick. Story 1, a doctor who gets a device so he can feel what his patients feel. I was like, holy shit, this is straight out of Carl Pilkington on the Ricky Gervais show. I marked out so hard when I heard it. Season 3, medicine episode. Dude becomes an emotional biochemical junkie, becomes a monster looking for his next fix. Suitably ends with a massive smile, an even bigger erection. Okay, that was made up, but it was hilarious. It was based on Pain Addict, written by Penn Jillette. Yeah, that pen, you know. Great stuff. Marked out for Carl Pilkington. Story 2. A man gets his coma wife's consciousness into his head. Yes, that sounds like a spin on the San Junipero episode, and they literally say it's at the same hospital, but a lo-fi approach. Since it's played out so differently, and it was also enjoyable, so I didn't mind at all. Having your dead wife's head in your head 24/7 sounds like a horrific idea. Also, Carl pitched this idea to Ricky and Steve as well, and they had none of it. But it starts off well, and then it gets super annoying. It gets all awkward, especially when you find a new love interest, which is your man's neighbour. Hilariously, her consciousness is placed out of him and into a toy monkey with only yes or no type responses. And I died when the new missus grabs the toy and pins it up against the wall and starts laying down the law. Like, threatening a stuffed toy, amazing.
Now listen, you fucking bitch. We can still have you right. That what you want? Do monkey needs a hug for no?
Monkey needs a hug.
Story 3. A convicted killer's consciousness being put into a digital form and into a physical space. So it's actually kind of locked in a chamber, a guy on death row, you know. I love Rolo here. Like, he straight up lies about the situation, saying, oh yeah, it's grand to sign over the rights to the digital consciousness. And oh yeah, sure, it's a Carney family. Abandoned him immediately. And then they actually show what actually happened. His wife's weeping, chatting on the phone, that kind of thing. It seamlessly kind of winds into the present with a nice twist and satisfying ending. Justice is served, and the whole episode is a great send-off for another year. So overall, out of 6 episodes, it got 2 whoppers, 1 very good and 3 good. So that's still batting very well. You know, it's not incredible, but it's never time wasted. Recommend watching all of the episodes. Actually, pre-Netflix, probably too morbid to binge watch, but you know, you could watch them. And in general, Black Mirror, the series, is one of the absolute best reasons to sub to Netflix. So thumbs up. So that does it for our inaugural OSW playlist. I'll be back in February with another one of these. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought, any comments or suggestions down below. Around next weekend, the start of February, we'll have the 5th annual Golden Noggers video. Then episode 69, Sunny Side Up, which is also a Nogger U request. And checking out modern day WWE with Royal Rumble 2018 before starting the Lex Express story arc after that. So, yeah, check out the Nogger U exclusives tab on the main page on Nogger U. That's where, like, you just see all of the best stuff, so you don't miss it. So, it's a goodbye from your boy, Jay Hunter. And remember, a winner is you. Actually, I want to end this. Let's hear Carl Pilkington predict Black Mirror. See you later, lads. And lads.
Now, sometimes I don't know if I feel well.
It doesn't make any sense at all either. What do you mean, sometimes you don't know whether you feel well?
Because I've been in my body for years.
Here he goes again.
Go on, yeah.
Here he goes again.
Now,
the two minds.
If there was some sort of kit that the doctor said, "How are you feeling, Mr. Pilkington?" And I go, "Oh, I think I feel all right." And they go, "Well, do you?" "Yeah, I don't know." And they go, "Well, step into the machine, right? Get into the machine, and if he could somehow transfer my feeling into his body, so I could feel how he feels, and then he can feel how I feel, and he'll go, 'Oh, you're not well at all. Your heartbeat's irregular for a start.'"
You are a mental case. I don't know what this is.
But why can't the doctor make that observation like a doctor does? Why can't the doctor, using his knowledge, observe the person with the sweat on?
This is like a scene from Ghost. This is like Patrick Swayze.
Listen, it's hard to explain an ache.
So he'd have to feel the ache, and then he could make an assumption from it.
Thank you.
So he would presumably go through training, going in the machine, and they'd bring in various sick people, and he would experience and feel every single ailment.